Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Welcome to our online project Ekalaiva. Already we are discussing about the solid state, class 12 solid state lesson, and in the first class we have discussed about the characteristic property, general characteristic properties of solids, and in the next class we have discussed about the differences between the crystalline solids and amorphous solids, and now there are some classifications of crystalline solids that we are going to learn in detail today. What are crystalline solids? Actually, those solids have the regular arrangement of the particles so that the compactness of the particles together will give a rigid structure, and it maintain the lattice crystal structure so that they can diffuse. As they have the interstitial space in between, they can diffuse very well with water when they are dissolved in it, and they form hydrogen bonding to give the dissolution, which means that crystalline solids are soluble in nature, right? Now, what are the different types of crystalline solids we have? Let us go in detail about it. Crystalline solids are mainly of four types. What are they? Molecular solids, ionic solids, network solids, and metallic solids. So, from the term itself, you could identify that molecular crystals will have molecules as the crystalline, that means constituent particles, okay, in the crystal. Ionic solids, ions are the constituent particles, that means the lattice points will be having the ions. Whereas a network crystal, actually it is made up of elements. For example, let us say allotropes. Allotropes are made up of only a particular type of elements. So, for example, allotropes of carbon if you take, diamond, graphite, Buckminster fullerene, all these are allotropes of carbon which are made up of only the carbon element, not with other elements. So, it is only made up of one particular element. Such type of compounds, that means crystalline solids, are called network solids. And metallic crystals, here the metal atoms will be the constituent particles. Now, from these four categories of crystalline solids, molecular solids can be further divided into three types. Molecular solids are of three types. What are they? They are non-polar, polar, and hydrogen bonded molecular solids. Non-polar, what does it mean? Polarity will not be produced by these solids, okay, as they are molecule, they will be in the aggregated form, so ions will not be generated in some cases, okay, so they become non-polar like covalent. Whereas the other type of molecular solid is polar. Ionic molecular solids will be there, isn't it? It's molecular solids which can be made up of the oppositively charged ions, and such case of solids will be forming polarization, polarized ions, so that in such cases those molecular crystals are called as polar molecular crystal solids, and the other type is hydrogen bonded molecular crystals. So, they have hydrogen, they can form, they are having the ability to form the hydrogen bonding with other constituent particles, okay. So, let us see how they are getting differentiated from one type to the other type. So, let us go for the first one, ionic crystalline solids. Here in this case of ionic crystalline solids, the lattice points are occupied, as it is said to be ionic crystals. Definitely the crystal is made up of ions. And what are the two types of ions we have? Positively charged ions called cations, negatively charged ions are called anions, okay. So, in this case of ionic crystals, actually the lattice points are occupied by the positive and negative ions. The lattice points, okay. For example, if this is the lattice, these are called lattice points. Let me select the other pen so that okay. So, these are the lattice points actually. These lattice points are occupied by ions, positive ion and negative ion. So, what are they called? Lattice points. Okay, whereas the empty space in between, that means empty space inside, is called interstitial space of the lattice. Okay. Now these lattice points are occupied with positively charged ions and negatively charged ions. And then as they are made up of ions, of course they will be maintaining the rigidity, isn't it? So they are hard and brittle too. Brittle means what? They can be broken into pieces when they are hammered. Okay. And they have high melting point because of the ions, oppositively charged ions are present in the crystal. The attraction will be very strong. The positive, oppositively charged ions are bonded together. So, of course, the strong force of attraction will be acting between those two ions, so that they have normally high melting point. Large amount of energy will be consumed to just melt, isn't it? So, they possess high melting point due to very strong electrostatic force of attraction between the negatively charged particle and positively charged particle. And they are the poor conductors of electricity in solid state. Because in solid state, if you take the ions, actually they have bonded, isn't it? They have bonds, isn't it? So it requires large amount of energy to break the bond, which means that they have strong force of attraction between each other, isn't it? So in solid state, of course, they cannot form free ions. Free ions will not be generated. So absence of free ions in solid state, okay, will not allow these solid crystals to conduct electricity, whereas in molten state they are able to conduct electricity, but they are the good conductors in molten state. And packing of spheres, what is that packing? Actually, if you take, when we have a cardboard box, we can fill a particular amount of, for example, if we have balls, okay, smiley balls, we can fill those smiley balls to the accommodation. That means how much of the volume is there, for that only we can fill the balls over the box, isn't it? Likewise, here also in this lattice, we have particular amount of number of particles can be filled. That is only called as packing. Okay. And that packing of spheres depends on the presence of charged species present in the crystal. Okay, what type of charged species are present in the crystal? Depends on that we can determine the packing efficiency. And difference in the size of anions and cations. Okay, we are going to learn in detail about all these things. The size of cations and size of anions also will determine the packing efficiency of a crystal. And then there are two types of packing, depends on this, and the two types are AB type, AB2 type, which means in case of AB type, there will be one positive charge and one negative charge. For example, we have NaCl crystal. If you take NaCl crystal, in this one positive charge, that means sodium positive charged species and chlorine negatively charged species, both are present in equal amount. So that AB type, one positive, one negatively charged species are bonded together. And the second type is AB2, which means that the valency of metal will be +2. So let us take an example, CaCl2. In this case, the valency of calcium is 2, which means that it can combine with, that means calcium can combine with 2 anions. Okay, so one cation and 2 anions will be present. One positive charge and 2 negative charges are present in this lattice. Okay, so the next type of solid is covalent crystals. Okay, in this covalent crystals, actually the lattice points are occupied by the neutral molecules. Usually in the crystal, that means in ionic crystals, the lattice points are occupied with the ions, charged particles, positive charge and negative charged particles. But here in case of this covalent crystals, actually the occupied, that means lattice points are occupied with the neutral atoms. For example, allotropes of carbon. Already I told you diamond and graphite, actually the points are occupied by carbon atoms. and the atoms are held together by the covalent bonds. As they are covalent in nature, they will be mutually sharing their electrons. Instead of donating or gaining electrons, actually these neutral atoms have the tendency to share their electrons, valence electrons with the other elements. Okay, as this covalent network solids are made up of the identical atoms, right? So carbon and carbon, due to the catenation tendency and the tetravalency, already we have learned the properties of carbon, right? So carbon shares its electron, valence electron with the other carbon atom, so that it forms covalent bonding to form a network of the solid crystal. And they are the hard solids too. For example, diamond, which is the hardest substance, isn't it? So covalent solid, for example, hard solids means we can take diamond. Even the other type of allotrope, which is graphite, okay, it is just opposite to diamond because it is soft, whereas diamond is the hard allotrope and graphite is the soft, powdery in nature. And due to the covalent nature and the atoms are neutral in nature, they possess high melting point. Diamond, you know that, cannot be brought into the molten state at all. Okay? And they are the poor conductors of electricity, and of course we know the reason why covalent compounds are actually poor conductors, because no free ions are present. As they are sharing the electrons between every atoms, right, there will be no free ions, no generation of free ions will be there in case of covalent solids. So they are poor conductors of electricity. And the two common examples are diamond and graphite, and the other allotrope if you take, it's Buckminster Fullerene. But we are going to deal with these two type of covalent solids only in detail. And next, actually apart from diamond and graphite, we have another covalent solid called silicon carbide. Is also a covalent network solid only. Covalent bonds are strong and they are directional in nature. Therefore, the atoms are held with a strong force of attraction, and they are at their own positions actually. And such solids are possessing the hard nature and they are brittle too. That means they can be broken into pieces, and they have extremely high melting point and may even decompose before melting. Due to the high melting point, what happens sometimes, if it goes beyond the temperature, then it will get decomposed. Decompose in the sense what, some of the, while burning, right, what happened due to the thermal energy, some of the particles will be completely oxidized and some of them will not be oxidized and they liberate as incomplete atoms. Okay, and they are the insulators. Due to the absence of free ions, they become the insulators of electricity. Example, diamond, graphite, and one more example is silicon carbide. Structure of important covalent compounds. As I said, we are going to deal with these two important compounds, covalent compounds only, in that the first one is diamond and the other one is graphite. If you take the structural difference, it is a three-dimensional structure of diamond, which means that each carbon atom of diamond is bonded with 4 other carbon atoms. So if you see here, all the electrons of valence shell of carbon is busy in bonding. There is no free electrons, so it is a non-conductor of electricity. But in case of graphite, if you look at the structure, one carbon is bonded with 3 other carbon atoms, so this electron is free. One free end is there. Due to that only, it is able to conduct electricity. Let us go in detail about the structure of graphite and diamond. Let us start with the structure of diamond now. It is FCC type structure, which means face centered. Face centered. Okay, and tetrahedral, because one carbon atom is bonded with 4 other carbon atoms, so it gives a tetrahedral structure. Okay, and the carbon-carbon bond length, as it is formed due to the single bond, each carbon atom will be bonding with the other carbon atom with a single covalent bond. Okay, and the bond length between the carbon, one carbon and the other carbon is 1.34 angstrom, which is equal to 134 picometer, and the refractive index value shows that 2.4. That's why diamond shows the shiny tendency, okay, and it has a high dispersive power of light. That means when light falls on it, it glitters. A non-conductor of electricity. Non-conductor, due to the absence of free ions, it is a non-conductor of electricity, and if you look at the structure, it gives a 3D network structure, which means each carbon atom bonded like a net, and then it forms a structure like a network. And it is the hardest substance used as abrasive. Abrasive means what? It is a substance used for cutting. Used for cutting or polishing. Polishing hard substances. For example, glass. Okay, glass is a hard substance which can be cut using this diamond needle, or else it can be polished using the diamond. Okay, and next is about graphite. So as we know that graphite is a good conductor of electricity due to the presence of free electron. If you look at the structure, you come to know that there is one carbon atom attached with the 3 other carbon atoms. It is attached with the 2, and the other layer, one is attached with the other layer, so that one end will be free, which means one electron is free. That is why it is able to conduct electricity, right? And it is one of the softest substance compared to diamond. Graphite is the soft substance, and also it is used as lubricant, powder lubricant, and it has a 2D hexagonal layer structure, like how the papers are arranged like a bundle in a book. The same way here also, each graphene layer, okay, just arranged one layer over the other layer to form this graphite structure. And here the bond length between carbon and carbon atom will be equal to 145 picometer, and its interlayer distance, that means the distance between the one layer and the other layer, is 3.54 angstrom, and it has a sliding nature. As it has the layers, one layer will be sliding over the other layer. And sp2 hybridization with one electron left over. That means the carbon present in graphite is sp2 hybridized carbon, which means that this carbon is bonded with 3 other carbon atoms, and one electron is free in this case, in every carbon atom. That's why it is able to conduct the electricity. If you check the specific gravity of graphite, it is 2.2, so that it looks like a fine powder, so flowing capacity it has. So it will be used as lubricant in machineries. When it is used as lubricant in machineries, it will reduce the friction. And it is an electrical conductor because of the presence of free ions in it. It is able to conduct electricity. And metallic luster. Actually, it is a non-metal only, but it gives the lustrous capacity like metals, and it is used as a lubricant, which is one of the powder lubricant. Okay, used in machineries to reduce friction. And metallic crystals. So, 2 types of crystals already we have discussed. One is ionic and the other one is covalent. In covalent, 2 different types of solids we have discussed. One is diamond and the other one is graphite. Now, the third type is metallic crystals. In this metallic crystals, the lattice points are occupied by positive metal ions. As it is said, metallic. Metals are electropositive. Metals are electropositive, isn't it? So, why is it called as electropositive? They have the tendency to donate electron. As they have less number of electrons in valence shell, these metals have the tendency to donate electrons. Okay, by donating electrons, tendency to form cations by donating electrons. For example, if a sodium is a metal. It loses its electron from the valence shell and it forms a cation, sodium cation, by losing that one electron from the valence shell. Okay, and it is surrounded by the sea of mobile electron. As they are losing the electrons, if you look at the structure of lattice of any of the metallic crystal, around this metallic crystal, electrons will move around like a cloud. Okay, they will be revolving around. So, the electrons which are released by the metal will be just getting surrounded around the lattice. And soft to very hard depends on the nature of the metal. The lattice will possess soft nature to hard nature. For example, if the lattice is made up of sodium or potassium, you know that sodium and potassium are soft metals. So, the lattice will be possessing the soft character. Whereas, if the lattice belongs to manganese, magnesium or aluminium, definitely the lattice will give hard nature. Metals have high tensile strength. Of course, this is one of the extraordinary character of the metal with high tensile strength. That's why we are able to draw wires due to the tensile strength, okay, stretchable nature. And they are the good conductors of electricity. Why? Because of the presence of free ions, okay. So, they are able to conduct electricity. And one more important property is malleable character of metals. So, even that property is very well exhibited by these metallic crystals, okay. And ductility. Malleable means what? Can be made into thin sheets, isn't it? And ductility means what? Can draw wires from the thin sheets which we made from the metal. And bonding electrons in metals remain delocalized over the entire crystal. Can you understand? Actually, the electrons around the crystal, they will be revolving around the crystal only, lattice only, but they will not move out of the crystal. So, whenever the metal cation is making the vacancy in that lattice crystal, those electrons can occupy that space. So, that we are going to discuss in detail in defects. And due to the metallic character, always metals possess high tendency. So, that is why metallic solids are having high density. Is that clear? And molecular crystals. If you take molecular crystals, there are three different types, already we have discussed. So, in next class, we will discuss about the molecular crystals in detail. And so far we have discussed about three types of crystals: ionic crystals, covalent crystals and metallic crystals, okay. So, next class let us discuss in detail about this molecular crystals and the types of molecular crystals. So, to get our videos, subscribe our channel so you will get new updates. Thank you.